Hey, how's it going everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sick Eric TV. Today we're doing a fun comparison. We're doing a comparison of the LG V60 and the LG G8 in 2022. Now both of these are two of my favorite LG devices, and I thought it would be fun to compare both of these in 2022, see how they stack up against each other. And I think that these two devices can be used as a daily driver even today in 2022, especially the LG V60. I know a lot of you people still love LG despite them being gone, and the G8 despite being an older device. I was using this for at least a week or two as my daily driver and no complaints whatsoever on either one of these. They're both fantastic, and even though the LG G8 is an older phone, you can still use this device today with no issues. Yes, you don't have 5G over here on the LG G8, but who turns on? I usually turn off 5G anyways on my devices if they do have 5G, just to save battery. So using 4G LTE was not a big deal for me when I was using the LG G8. So we're going to talk about the specs, put them side by side, and show you the differences of each one. So let's jump down into it. So as far as release dates, the LG G8 did come out all the way back in February of 2019, while the V60 came out in March of 2020. So definitely 2019, 2020 phone. Definitely the V60 came out after this one, but still they are very old, but still very great devices. As far as the dimensions go, the G8 is going to be 5.9 inches tall, 2.83 wide, and 0.33 thin, and it weighs about 5.89 ounces, and it is covered in Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and Gorilla Glass 6 on the rear. You get an aluminum frame, so it's very nice feeling. IP68 water and dust resistance with the MIL STD 810G. Compliant, drop resistance, military grade. So that is very nice when it comes to durability over here. Yes, it's glass and glass breaks, but still very durable and very premium feeling phone, especially since 2019. A lot of phones nowadays come with plastic backs. Going on over to the V60, now this phone is definitely a chunker of a phone compared to the G8. As far as size goes, it's 6.67 inches tall, 3.6 inches wide, and 0.35 inches thick, so it is a lot bigger and a lot thicker than the G8. It weighs about 7.51 ounces, again Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and Gorilla Glass 6 on the rear with the aluminum frame on there. So this is a tank of a phone. It's just built really nicely. It's thick, it's heavy. It may be kind of big for most people, but I like it. It feels very substantial in the hands, and you could throw this thing at somebody and kill somebody with it. It's a very durable premium phone, and it's built like a tank. It still has the IP68 water and dust resistance, as well as the MIL STD 810G compliant, drop resistant. So very nice, as you can see. Very nicely built devices, especially since most phones nowadays come with plastic backs. These are very premium feeling and very nice. As far as the displays go, the G8 has a POLED 6.1 inch display, supports HDR10, 1440 by 3120. Yes, this is a 2K display. A lot of phones, especially nowadays, come with 1080p. I don't know how we've gone backwards, but you get a full 1440 display. No high refresh rate. Unfortunately, they didn't start coming out with that about 2020, 2021, but still a very beautiful display on the LG G8. You do have an always on display as well, and it does have 564 pixels per inch, guys. That is a fantastic display and resolution on the LG G8. Going on over to the V60, 6.9 inches POLED HDR10 plus, and it is a 1080 by 2460 with 395 pixels per inch, again covered in Corning Gorilla Glass 5, and you get an always on display over here as well. Now the only difference between both of these is you get a in-display optical fingerprint sensor on the V60, while on the G8 you still get that rear-facing fingerprint sensor, which a lot of people like just because your finger lies right there, and you can double that as a notification dropper as well. So very nice on the LG G8. But the fingerprint sensor over here on the V60 is actually pretty good, and it's gotten better over time. As you can see, they both have notches. The V60 is definitely a smaller notch than the LG G8, but the G8 does house a time of flight sensor in there and a bunch of sensing stuff for the hand gestures that you could do on this device, which nobody really used. But it does have really good facial recognition on the G8, which the V60 does not have any facial recognition. You have to rely on that fingerprint sensor only. So I would compare the G8's facial recognition much like that of the iPhone's facial recognition, with that 3D sensing and the time of flight sensor and everything. So very good over here on the G8. As far as what they are running, both of these devices have recently been updated to Android 11, so that is great news. Now, as far as Android 12 is concerned, hopefully we get those soon, and hopefully we get updated to Android 12. That would be fantastic. But the fact that these devices have been updated to Android 11 is fantastic news, especially since LG is no longer in the game, and they're still supporting their devices. This has a December security patch, while over here on the V60 it's a January security patch. So they're still being updated slowly. It may not be every month, but still they're being supported till this day in 2022. This is a 3-year-old phone, guys, and it's still got a update since December of 2021. Hopefully we get some more, and the V60 of course being still being supported from LG, so that's fantastic. You can still use these as daily drivers and have no problems. Snapdragon 855 processor, and you get 6 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of internal storage that is expandable, guys. This has a micro SD card slot. Yes, those are gone. Have you heard of a micro SD card slot? This has it. And you get the Adreno 640 over here with UFS storage 2.0. Going on over to the V60, you get 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of internal storage, and again, micro SD card support. LG does it right with the storage and being able to expand that. UFS 2.0 Adreno 650 GPU. So a little bit newer specs right there. Both of these devices are very fast and capable, and they could play games pretty well, and you could edit videos on here pretty well as well. They are both beasts, especially the V60 is an absolute beast when it comes down to rendering videos and playing games, while the G8 holds its own and does a pretty good job in the performance departments, even though it only has 6 gigabytes of RAM. Hell, the S21 Fan Edition has 6 gigabytes of RAM, and they feel about the same to me, other than the refresh rate that you'll be able to know the difference. They're both pretty snappy phones and pretty capable in 2022. Going on over to the cameras, the LG G8 has 2 rear-facing cameras on the back. Obviously, you get a 12 megapixel main sensor with an aperture of f1.5. It does have dual pixel PDAF, OIS, and then you get a 16 megapixel ultra wide aperture of f1.9. No autofocus on that lens. There is different versions of this. The global version had an extra telephoto sensor on the back, but this is the American version, so you only get those 2 sensors. You can record up to 4K 60 frames per second on the rear, so that is fantastic news. Front facing camera is going to be an 8 megapixel camera, aperture of f1.7, and you can record up to 1080p on the front facing camera, but you also get that time of flight sensor on there, so that's really cool as far as 3D depth and biometric sensing and stuff like that. So very capable camera still on the LG G8. Going on over to the V60, you get a 64 megapixel main sensor, aperture of f1.8. Again, dual pixel PDAF. It does support optical image stabilization. You get a 13 megapixel ultra wide, aperture of f1.9, and then you get a 3.3 megapixel time of flight sensor, which is your 3D sensing, again for focusing and depth sensing as well on the V60. Pretty much you get the front facing sensor over here, on the rear over here on the LG V60. You can record all the way up to 8K 30 frames per second on the V60, although nobody really uses that. 4K 60 is what I use the most. Front facing camera, a 10 megapixel camera, aperture of f1.9, does support HDR, and you can record up to 4K 30 frames per second on this front facing camera, which is just absolutely fantastic. Both of these, listen guys, they take really good pictures. A lot of people love LG's pictures and cameras and their processing. They're really good phones for taking pictures, and low light maybe the LG struggles, but still they're both really good at video and pictures. So I'm going to show you some samples of pictures taken on both of these side by side and some video, that way you guys could see the difference between the two. Alright, so this is the LG G8 rear facing camera, 4K 60 frames per second. LG G8 4K. How does it look? Personally, I still think this phone takes really excellent video and excellent pictures. LG G8 4K 60 frames per second. Let me know how this looks, comment down below, and let me know how it sounds too. Alright, this is LG V60 4K 60 frames per second rear facing camera as well. Let me know how this looks and how it sounds. Now the LG V60 does have options for bokeh sound and ASMR, while the LG G8 does not. LG V60 4K 60 frames per second. Let me know how this sounds and how it looks. Which one looks better? The V60 or the G8? V60 front facing camera, and it can record up to 4K 60 frames per second. As you can see, how is it handling the exposure in the background? You can adjust that just by clicking on it, so that's pretty cool if it gets blown out. And how do I look? We're in the shade, and let's go ahead and pan around and come down over here into some more sunlight, just to show you guys exactly how this looks in the shade. And now we are in the sun. LG V60. Alright, so this is the LG G8 front facing camera. This could only record at 1080p, and let me know how this looks so far. In the viewfinder, it definitely does look a little bit blown out, especially in the background. But then again, this is a older camera and an older phone, and the front facing camera, I believe, is an 8 megapixel camera. So how does it look and how does it sound? We're going to go ahead and come into the sun and see that makes a little bit of a difference as far as how it looks. You can adjust the brightness on here, so you can lower it and make it brighter, as you can see. So we're going to go ahead and keep it right there. So when you click on it, there is no like auto adjustment when you're clicking on this front facing camera like there is on the V60. Which one do you think looked better, the V60 or the LG G8? or did they both look good to you as far as pictures and video go? Personally, I think they're both fantastic. The LG G8 definitely struggles a little bit on that front-facing camera just because it is an older sensor, especially with exposure, and low light are going to be issues with the G8, but the V60, fantastic, just fantastic photos. I put this device up against all of my new ones, and all of you guys always choose LG. So as far as Bluetooth, you get Bluetooth 5.1 on the V60, you get Bluetooth 5.0 on the G8, USB Type-C, of course, at the bottom, typical stuff. The G8 does have a 3500 milliamp hour battery with 20 watt fast charging, 21 watt fast charging, quick charge 3.0, and wireless charging at 9 watts. No reverse wireless charging on the G8. And on the LG V60, you get a 5000 milliamp hour battery with 25 watt fast charging, quick charge 4.0, and you also get wireless charging on here as well. So very fantastic on the battery front. The LG V60 definitely going to beat out the G8 as far as battery goes, but the G8 actually surprised me when it came down to battery life. It'll easily get you through a day, and then you have to charge at night. The V60 definitely a 2-day phone, so fantastic on both of the batteries. This was back in the day when phones had 3500 milliamp hour batteries, and that was fantastic. Now we have gone up to 5000 milliamp hour batteries in order to meet our standards, but back in the day, this is what we got, guys, and still today in 2022, it is definitely holding up pretty well. As far as speakers go, both of these sound pretty good. The G8 is coming from the age the LG started to do the boom sound speakers, to where if you set it on a table, you get that boom sound amplified effect. Now, as far as the way they sound, normally holding them in your hand, the V60 is going to sound a little bit better than the G8, since the G8 does not have a front firing speaker. It is under the display, so it does sound a little muffled on here. Both of these offer fantastic audio tweaking. Both of these offer fantastic audio adjustments. The V60 does give you the LG 3D sound engine, while over here on the G8 you get DTS-X 3D surround sound. And personally, I don't like using these for music, so I would recommend using these if you're watching movies, or for me, I listen to it when I'm listening to Audible. I tend to turn these on just to get that echo and that surround sound effect. You also get quad DACs on both of these with your headphone jacks. Yes, remember that, guys? You get a headphone jack on both of these devices, and the audio on here sounds fantastic when you're listening to the anything plugged in, nice headphones, or if you plug this into your car's auxiliary port and you turn on that quad DAC, you're getting fantastic audio. Like, it is beyond, you'll be mind blown. If you never had an LG and used a quad DAC on an LG device, try it out and you'll never go back. It's just amazing compared to using Bluetooth. The quad DAC is amazing, and these are one of the last phones to offer that quad DAC system on their devices. So as far as audio goes, I'm going to go ahead and play some samples on both these, that way you get an idea of how each one sounds. As far as price goes, you definitely can get these, especially used, for a very low price. I got my G8 off a swap up for about $130, guys, and this thing is in mint condition. No scratches, no nothing, works fantastic. The V60 you could get for under $300. Again, I got this off of Swappa. Fantastic. You could get these off of Amazon for a little bit more money, renewed, but I guarantee I pretty much recommend going on over to Swappa and looking for one, just because you could get a cheaper price. So yeah, both fantastic devices. Even in 2022, both of these definitely hold their own, and you definitely can use these as a daily driver. I mean, come on guys, these are LG. I know a lot of people still holding on to their LG devices despite them being out of the game, but you could pick them up at a very low costing price. If you want to save money and security updates aren't really a concern for you, you can still get at least another year out of these devices at a very low cost and be happy with either one, whichever one you choose. So very nice, especially in 2022. Definitely two of my favorite devices is the LG V60 and the LG G8. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and found it useful. And if you did, give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. If not, give me a thumbs down. That's quite all right. Just subscribe, like, and share, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.